here compared to like your
For
whole.
sure. I'll send her about. Can you hear me right? Sorry. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I had my volume mad low, so I
You
was like,
could. You could.
um, okay, that's clear. Any other questions from anybody before we go get ready to be live?
It's sydney.upwards@gmail.com. Good.
Yep.
Yeah, and Sydney, if you could just throw that in our personal chat right here, that'd be cool if everybody gets access. Nate Marshall the God, what up? It's good to see you, dog. Thank you. Before we begin, I just want to really quickly say thank you so much to everybody to be here. I know that at the end of this, we're all going to kind of piece out really quickly, so we probably won't have no time, but it means the world that each one of y'all are here in this space with me and sharing in this moment. It's my first Bowery show, and I think that that's mad exciting to me here in New York, and it means a lot to me that y'all will be a part of it forever. So thank you all for that. And I wouldn't ask y'all to be here if I didn't think every one of y'all was dope in your own inspirational way. So thank you for that. Appreciate y'all. Other than that, let's get it. Okay, we all good to go?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Hello, everyone out there in Bowery land. My name is Carl Michael Iglesias, and I'm a poet representing Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I'm in Brooklyn, New York right now. I have been for this little chunk of my life. And I'm here today to celebrate a little accomplishment of mine called Catch a Flow, which is my first chapbook, and it is something that is very near and dear to my heart. But in order to celebrate a little bit more, I brought some incredible guests to come and help me kind of celebrate this evening. You'll be hearing from myself. You'll be hearing from a musician known as Groupthink, which has been making incredible new work, also kind of repping from the First Wave program. We have Zalarina, who is an incredible artist and an award-winning artist, and I'm so excited to hear some of their bars today. It's always a pleasure when they grace the stage. And then poet Nate Marshall, who is easily one of the poets who stays on my bookshelf and who I'm constantly digging to be like and digging to read more of their stuff too. They're an incredible writer. But first and foremost, I would love to introduce a person who is nothing short of my best friend to start there. This is a sister of mine, somebody who I've written poems with in so many ways, whether for the stage or for competition or for healing. So somebody I care about a lot. I would love to introduce out of Chicago, Illinois, please welcome Sydney Edwards.
What up? Hello, everyone out there in here. Oh my goodness. I'm super excited for this. Everyone out there, whether you're streaming us from YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, just super excited for the next hour of my life and for yours. So let's just get right into it. When I was asked to be a part of this show and heard the lineup, I was just like, no hesitation. I am a literal fan of those people. I have known them collectively for 11 years. So let's just get into it. One thing that I really love about tonight, and we kind of do this like loose, put great people together for a great cause, and we don't even necessarily understand all the conversations that come out of that. But just being a fan of these folks' work, I'm just like, yo, it's mad themes of like home and these conversations, like comfort and all of this stuff and discomfort. And I was just like, kind of just blasting some of their music, reading some of their work today in preparation for this. And yo, my energy is like, y'all need to match me wherever you at, because I'm just excited. I'm excited to see if they're gonna read the work I like. Okay, so let's just get into it.
Before we begin, though, if it's all right, I would love, being that Sydney is a poet, a very talented poet themselves. Before we get into the evening, I would feel privileged if Sydney would read a poem or two, just to break bread, if that's all right, break the stage in.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite writers in the entire earth, and a big part of this process as well. We'll get into that later. But please, if it's all right, let's welcome Sydney Edwards to the microphone, sharing some of their work.
Thank you, thank you. I knew he was gonna pull the trickery. That's why I tried to just slip and slide into. Nope. See, trick, trick, trick. But no, I honestly would be. I'd be honored to open up for these folks today. So I thought I'd read something that really makes me happy about myself when I read it. It's a poem, kind of old, maybe about a year and a half ago, but just when I remember what space I was in, super excited to share it today. It's called "Ode to My Big Belly," after Janae Johnson's "Ode to My Ripped Pants." How my shirts be stretching to their own healing, armholes exposed to match their own magnitude. Come, child, let me tell you how I sit in chairs and burst open, how I spill out from the sides like a blooming lilac or some other pretty shit that can't be kept. Tell me about the part of you that feels most ugly, and I will tell you the story of a lie. I rub my belly in public for everyone who wished I loved me a little less. My lover lays his head on my stomach like a promise to laugh. Tell me again how my growth could be wrong. Tell me how loving the last savory suck of a chicken bone could be anybody's sin. You ain't worried about my blood pressure or my caloric intake. You worried about how if I press up against you, I might take you for what you're worth. This is the second bra this year that folded under the weight of it all, and I'm not mad at you, girl. Move on to the next stage of your life, belly. Hear me good when I say you are the warmest home I've ever known, how you crease into myself heavy. You don't do nothing slight. Don't do nothing right. When I rub, palpitate even, how you ain't faint. Ode to my stretch marks. The golden rods of iron over blood remind me of how much bigger I had to become to hold all of me belly. For the days when I am too full of myself and mad at the full of you, thank you today. Come, child. Let me tell you of the ways you held me when I couldn't hold myself and how my ancestor mama had a big belly too. Belly, 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 belly. Girl, today, I'm all yours. Thank you, thank you, thank you for inviting me to share that piece with y'all. I'm just super excited to, again, be celebration of the artists that y'all are. So to be able to open up to y'all in this virtual, digital, cool, mystifying space is always cool. I've done a bunch of kind of like virtual events like this, and it's just always so trippy to me that we're just like everywhere and nowhere, and it's too meta. It's too meta. But no further ado, Carl, can we jump into some like some group think? Like, is it time for that?
Yeah.
All right. This person I met over a ways away in Wisconsin, Illinois. See how Chicago I am? I'm just putting everything in Illinois. Wisconsin, Madison, as a part of the First Wave program, met this dude and was instantly like, you've been on this earth for I don't know how long, but you just know way more about this life that we're living. Like super inspired, always making art, always super passionate about music, always being willing to be in a state of transition from North Carolina. Can we make some virtual noise and some physical noise if you want for group think?
I'll make some noise for myself. That's him. Okay. Thank you, Sydney and Carl, for kicking this off. I'll play some songs. I think the volume's good. I haven't done any Zoom concerts. This is my first one, so I think it'll be cool. I wanna see you in the day. I wanna see you in the light. I wanna see you in the sunshine. Baby, won't you come outside? 'Cause I know it's been a long time. And if I told you that it's safe, would you believe in a lie? I wanna look you in the face like the sun. Said, baby, won't you come outside? 'Cause I know it's been a long, long time. Do da do da da, do do da da da. Na 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 na. Do da do da 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 da. Ooh, baby, with the soda on the side. Baby, won't you come outside? 'Cause I know it's been a long, long time. And you know it's been a long, long time. I just wanna see you in the sun. Shine. Yeah. I'm just picturing myself like in Times Square on the billboard. That's some like big picture. Cool. That was called Day 2. All right, I'll do some more ones. Cool. Good morning to you, lover. Indiana looks warmer from the other side. You don't believe in that, but I'm leaving now. 'Cause you look so nice when you try not to say goodbye. Good morning to you or not. Kinda like sunlight when I look in your eyes. But you said it all just to take you back. 'Cause you look so nice when you fly in the winter time. If I could, then I would make it easy for the rest of your days. If life's good, then why would I need to do bad things? Bad things. Why would I need to do bad things? Bad things. Oh. Da, da, da. Thank you. Let me switch over to this guitar. I like took the little quarantine period to kind of teach myself some guitar, which has been super fun. I'm like a little iffy at it, but I think I can do it. Am I good on time? I'm doing really short songs. Sure. Cool. Okay, it works. Well, I just want to shout out Carl and his book and everyone here before I play. It's weird talking and I can't see a group of people, but I'm just really happy to be here and grateful you included me because it's really fun for me to sing and it's like a new thing for me. So I really appreciate it. Cool song. Okay. Stop signs. You could see the green lights in my eyes. I could see the peace signs in your eyes. And in between time slip aside. It's not like it's a lie. I'm living my truth, yeah, I don't get to decide. I'm living my truth and it hurts sometimes. I still believe in you. It was easy to, 'cause I'm not the only one. Type of thing ain't for everyone. And I need it. Keep me easy through the things that are yet to come. Some things ain't never done. Oh, I cannot say goodbye The same first rodeo drive. Hey, space cowboy, I see you in the sky on high. On high. On high. I feel alright. It's so gone. Oh, wait. Stop signs. You can see the green lights in my eyes. I can see the peace signs in your eyes. And in between times slip aside. Snow light. It's a lie. I'm living my truth. Yeah, I don't get to say. I'm living my truth and it hurts sometimes. Yay. Cool. Thank you all. I think that's all. That's my 3 pieces. I didn't really mess up on guitar, and this is awesome. I'm gonna say thank you again. If you liked that in the Ethernet world, I'm on Instagram. Group.think is in my header of Zoom. Thank you, Carl, for that tip. And I'll kick it to whoever's next. Back to Sid. Thank you all.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Loved it. Loved it. I mean, just one of those artists that when you like the lyrics be hitting me in the chest. I'll be like, whew. And matter of fact, I'm gonna tell y'all, all y'all out there, I was like, yo, what is Groupthink up to? I've been, in a bubble of maybe not being up on people's latest stuff. I have been bumping that The World Is Round, So I'll Be Back.
Oh,
are you kidding me? Go to
Go
Spotify. Do yourself a favor after this.
Spotify.
Go to Spotify. It's on my feel good playlist. Y'all think I'm playing, but it's never been a game. So thank you so much for blessing us. Multiple instruments, just a true musician. I met you. You was rapping,
Yeah, when I
singing.
couldn't play
Whatever.
any
Now you
instruments.
singing. Like it's just there is no limit. So thank you so much. Amazing, amazing work. I love it. I love the bravery. I love it. But moving right along, super, super excited. This next artist that y'all are about to hear from, again, one of the bravest musicians, vocalists I know. It's not just poems and bars and things like that. Just tonight, you're hearing from people who are willing to constantly expand, constantly push. Zalarina Sanders out of Tampa Bay, Florida. Is just an all-around writer, performer, recently won a Chicago Emmy for Outstanding Achievement in the Arts. Like, we're not playing at all. No games. We're taking everything they wanted to keep from us. Just a really creative mind, truly believes in the art that she makes. And so, without further ado, the next up to the virtual microphone, Zalarina.
Yeah.
What's good?
I'm hearing a little feedback. Is it good on y'all end? Y'all good? Okay. Word. Well, hello everyone out in the internet. I am only able to see the people on the Zoom with me, but shout out to everyone else who is also present in this moment. I'm gonna jump right into it. These are all songs from my album. For tonight I chose songs that were a little bit steeped in metaphor, just since we're celebrating poetry on tonight and Carl's amazing book. This is the first. This song is a song from my mom. The sun fell asleep in a jar of honey, landed in Tampa with half of the stars humming, mirrors catching her reflection like she threw it, ashamed of all the joy you thought you felt before you knew her, protected. Even if the seed ejected in the fire, with an ankle in the pot of a blessing you can acquire. Salt of the earth shorty who braided the block down with Senegalese crowns and platinum and honey brown. She said, ain't no hassle to forgive the shackle. Then turn every whip to licorice and liquefy what you brought to battle. But if you'd rather step to it, let me just make it clear. Them hands inspired the repentance of an auctioneer. To know what is to speak to a mountain directly. Smith her name and she'll teach you to pronounce it correctly. A Florida, Georgia butter pecan. Be singing to her babies over heaven's guitar. Now everybody standard applause. She complete every mission to the standard of God and defeated the impossible of Wizard of Oz. This the anthem for the one who caused the planet to pause. So yeah, that's the that song. I did all the verses smushed up with one another. But that song is called Mama. Very creative title. Thank you so much. This next song is about my daddy, because apparently I love my parents and want to write about them. So this song is called Lala. It's a bit longer. But yeah, I guess I should just call them poems. This next piece, I haven't slammed this so long. This next piece is called Lala. But yeah, here we go. Holy smokes, Batman. Holy Ghost tap dance. Shadrach, Meshach, Pac-Man, daddy's home. And his children forgot they were glad he was gone. Lock the pills in the truck when daddy's alone, cause with the quickness he'll get dipping with Mrs. Codone. Rip up the scripture just to twist up a spliff and be gone. Daddy funny, daddy sleepy, daddy back out the door. Daddy sad he would rather be burning the spoon than purchasing food. First of the month he lurking to use. But his children are amazed, cause all we see is his cape. Superpowers and tattoos of our names, the same man who will go and snatch every tooth out his face before ever making us feel like we were losing. Got everything confusing. We disconnect, collect calls, and loop mama regretting to the music. Cause he's an educated player from Detroit proper, a smooth dollar, enough to make the baddies holler. Our father who art nada, still part water from the seas in the eyes of his daughters. And he made sure every lie was a good. So if he said he quit that la, he was good for it. But if that thing moved, daddy flinch. If you want to laugh, come and watch an addict raise kids, right? Because he's a mystery man. Delete his internet history, man. I was just playing while you pissed at me, man. Granulated cocaine falling out of his smile with sugar sweet enough to put his lies back in his mouth. And ain't nobody breathing bigger than my daddy dragon. Imagine thinking this magic to disappear in the casket with a pocket full of fairy dust and rabbits, making it easier to laugh if it get cracked. Oh, big homie, you got blood on your lip. There's a puddle on the carpet and your body is stiff. Your daughter can wake you up. Did you have too much fun? Did you fly, my nigga, and then eat the sun? Aladdin had a habit that Jasmine could not afford, went too high on his carpet, so she sold it and got afford. But how could you not adore a man who giggles and cries? Jiggles at every tickle with dimples under his eyes. My father, stick figure, who figured you do this? Visiting you is like splitting with Judas. Truth is, your sorry is useless, doofus. We could stop writing and fill your commissary with excuses. But that won't bring my daddy back. In fact, it would only make Lala much more attractive. So on your release date, we'll be waiting at the gate with cherry dipping the cute sheet cake, cause I'ma slide with you, I'ma ride with you, I'ma die with you, hide with you, I'ma sit and cry with you. I'ma fall with you, I'ma grow with you, I'ma mold with you, hope with you, I'ma let it go with you. If you addicted, I'm committed to loving you through it. Even if believing you making me look stupid. Man, I swear I'm about to cry right now. Gotta have a quick conversation with my pride right now. Huh? So that's piece number 2. That one's about my father. And then, yeah, and now I'm gonna jump into this last one. This last song is it's called Wolf in the City. And it was me fully embracing my own ability to be absolute trash. And so I was like, oh snap, look at me hurting people. That's crazy. So this is an ode, if you will, to that. It's obvious that I'm good at it. Got you thinking it's magic or something. And I'm gonna milk that. Look at my victim, right? I wear a dress with nothing under it in case you were wondering if I killed that. Everybody thinking I'm nice, but I'm what goes bump in the night. It's a problem with no one that admits they like the monster and I'm hopeless. So it took about a minute to finally find a lyric to cope with. I've been kind of kicking it out of the line of focus. Afraid everybody already knows that I got a hunger for being wanted. So is you willing and ready to bait me down? Cause I think lover is the opposite of lonely. Ain't that profound, baby? I don't go down to make you melt, only to sharpen my teeth on your belt. Looking like who gonna stop me? My fur pretty in the worst light. Angles on angles on angles. I'm just a wolf who smiles and speaks politely. Angles on angles on angles. I'm just a wolf who smiles and speaks politely. And I don't know what it does for me. When I take the ground and shake it for a clap or a standing ovation, but the sheep, they got love for me. So I dance just to get them in a trance, and I'm thinking I made it. I got this hunger for being the center of attention. They screaming for me and my claws are itching. I'm a fan of a fan and the bomb is ticking. Oh, my ego when it's looking like a flawless victim. It started when I was too young. Got a taste of the love and I loved it. And I told everybody I don't do drugs, but I finish the line and go hunting. I know the fan favorite falls fast from the fictitious feet of fake and funk, but I love what it does when it's me that they want. And I can't stop singing and I can't leave it alone. I was shaving every day, but now the mane is overgrown. I can't resist what feels so natural. Every time they play my songs, you can find me backstage sleeping on a pile of bones. And I gotta be real careful. When that thing get dwelling inside of my body, awaken the real devil. And it's easy to miss this when the mark of the beast is a French tip, but I want them to figure me out. Hear that my rapping is really a growl and that they are kissing a dog on the mouth. I started to feel weak writing this song, but what is weaker than a person who cannot be wrong? So single is not an option. My bed is a cage fight between the me I want to be and the beast that need them late nights. See, I'd rather sit at home and make a beat that bang till daylight than chase my tail in circles just to see that thing don't taste right. And I'm lone, but not alone. Wolf numbers are quite miraculous. It's a pack of us. Even the fleas have lost track of us. I'm not an honest monster. I just lost my sponsor. Screamed at the moon before they found me unresponsive. And that's Wolf in the City. Thank y'all so much for having me. This is a glorious occasion to be able to celebrate Carl and his book. I'm super excited to hear the glory that is Catch a Glow. You can find me on everything, literally everything at Jalarina. Just add my first name. Yeah, thank y'all so much.
Yes. Thank you so much for blessing us with that. Valerina, always a pleasure, Z. Always a pleasure. Y'all, there are real writers in this performance tonight. We have accidentally on purpose invited the folks with bars in case you have not yet noticed. Super amped. And one thing, if we had, one thing that I do want to highlight about Z is nothing short of amazing. That Chicago Midwest Region Emmy. Come on, for the series. I think it's a 3-part series, because I was like, when I was watching, I was like, please tell me there's more. And then it was over. But 3-part series, The Light, please check that out in conjunction with PBS. Just amazing work from all the artists. I can't say that enough. For real, y'all. Brilliant stuff. I just want to keep it moving. I think selfishly, I just be like, oh, when's the next song? And it's like, that's for me to decide. And I decide now. The next person I have known for so long, I'm going to try to do the math. Wait, okay. We were 6 on the bus to school on the first day of first grade. So that was 24 years ago. I was scared to sit alone, and this man was scared to sit alone. And so we nervously sat in the same seats together, even though there were like 48 more. Nate Marshall is a Chicagoan, one of the most South Side people I know. Is currently a professor who teaches creative writing and literature at Colorado College, but has done so much in his lifetime, from Cave Canem to Poetry Foundation. The awards and the accolades and the publications they never stop. And so one thing I do want to shout out, hopefully he'll read at least a couple things from this here book. I want to highlight Finna, his most recent published work. So without any more time of hearing me, give it up for Nate Marshall, y'all.
Oh, Lord. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is so cool. It's good to see you. Sydney, what's up, Carl? Thank you for inviting me. This is dope. Where will I start? All right, I'm gonna start with this. Yeah, I think I've been thinking about this poem a lot, just because I have I feel like now we're having a lot of interesting sort of political conversations about things like abolition and like a lot of these notions that I think I have been thinking about for years, and many people, I think in the communities I'm a part of, but are sort of new to a more wide discourse. And this poem in some ways reminds me of that, right? Because I think that there's like sometimes around just various kinds of issues, there's a lot of hand wringing, and some of that comes from folks just assuming that people have like the same that people are, I guess, are extended the same kind of possibilities in this world, right? So yeah, this is called Let Me Put It to You Like This, fam. Terrorists, our thugs, our freedom fighters, our police, our gang members, our cousins, our politicians, our teachers, our protectors, our love, our loathing, depending on your vantage point. Like the time them guys jumped me and tried to run my pockets, they were frantic and afraid, and I could tell because of the shallow, quick kicks they offered to my skinny body. I think they meant to rob me, but they ran their hands into the wrong pocket first because I'm left-handed. So in a sense, writing didn't save my life, but it kept my few dollars and my bus card from disappearing. Oh, writing, the savior of my state ID. These dudes were about the same size as me, and they were four and I a single me. And when they got off the bus at my stop, I noticed they wore all the name brands we loved but can't remember now. My gear was anonymous and dark like our black faces. I was just a hoodie and a surprising punch back. These days, I think about how they slipped my knees from behind and had all the leverage to stomp whatever part of me and didn't. Bless them. Praise the day I became a polytheist. Praise my four gods. And I pray for my four gods as often as I pray for myself. Praise the gods they find or will find, or who have found them in churches and parties and coffins and corner stores. I'm saying this, cats could really end a mug if they had better aim or worse aim, depending on your vantage point. It's like bad meaning bad or bad meaning good. I mean, it's like not believing in police because you don't believe in police when they sit in your mama's house and tell her nothing can be done because they don't do things really. It's like believing in gangs because the past they gave you, the strong dap and safe haven to go on being bookish and breathing and walking in the hood. Let me put it to you like this, fam. Who you believe in is a matter of who you matter to. Cool. All right. Yeah, let me kick this one. So this next piece is called Abad for the Whole Hood. In Abad is like it's like a poem or a song meant to like welcome the new day. So Abad for the Whole Hood. Today, I offer myself all the small kindnesses. I'm out here with breath in my body, though it may be stank, and body in my control, though it may be too much or not enough. Today, I offer the whole crib a jam we ain't heard in a minute and permission to turn the news down and move a hip like a suggestion to a lover. On this day, I declare the pockmarked street I grew up on a miracle. I declare the bills, even the overdue ones, a blessing. Who knew that we would still be here to see these injustices? How can we measure the disrespect of lack against that precious surprise? Real talk. Today, I tell myself truths other than the one that make me low. I give myself the gift of a joke with the homies. Real talk. Today, I stay woke to all the terror, but also to my favorite food or my favorite place or my best hope for our people. And I work to make all my best lives possible. Cool. Let me see. I'll just do one more. Man, yeah, I'm really excited for this. And I'm really like glad to be here. Yeah, I've known Sydney like for like the majority of my life, like the vast majority of my life. Yeah, and you know, I got a chance to meet Carl when we went to college. And it's just been a pleasure, you know, to know y'all and to continue to know y'all over these years. So I'm really, congratulations on the book, Carl. and I'm really excited to be there. I'll end with this one. This poem is called Fit 11, which is my favorite number, and also the exact number of years that I've known Sydney Miata Edwards. And yeah, if you don't know how much Fit 11 is, just know it's a lot more than a little bit. How much is owed to those who wore the chains, who tilled the land, who nursed the babes, who mixed the grits, who fried the food, who chopped the wood, who picked the bowls, who ran the road, who fought the war, who shared the crop, who made the name, who wore the noose, who blacked the codes, who sparked the schools, who juked the blues, who showed the soul, who left the South, who stayed the course, who caught the hell, who marched the march, who broke the strike, who struck the blow, who took the vote, who held the hood, who housed the club, who queered the notes, who spun the jams, who funked the flow, who built the thing, who built the thing, who built the thing. You know, take the payment you ain't give for all that and press it down, make it overflow, fit 11 times and give me that in my own numbers of my own currency. Thank y'all.
Yes, thank you so much. That was super, super dope. Of course, cop that finna, cop all the work. For all these artists that have performed thus far, you can cop any of their merch and all their books, all that stuff from their websites. Thank you, Nate. Always a pleasure. Always a silly good time. Some of my favorite pieces you just read, for me hearing you read them for the first time after having read the book. So this was, even though this is about Carl, I feel like this whole performance is just a present to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so yeah, no hesitation. Let's get into the main event. Thank you, Bowery Poetry and Mahogany Brown and all the folks who helped this next man do the amazing thing that he did with this book, Catch a Glow. I gotta put my hands on it. It's been a journey. It's been a journey, and I'm so proud and honored to have Carl as a close friend, and to have been able to be in conversation with this book since it was an idea, and getting to see the process and just how invested he was in the narrative of his people, but then also just the truth and how he could be involved in some type of solution-based focus. We all know about, grassroots and what it needs to look like because of our unfortunate socio-political world. And I really love when artists and just folks who have a platform of any shape and size choose to use that platform. So it's way more than a book to me. And I know once you hear the pieces, if you haven't out there, it'll be way more than a book to you. So this next artist that you'll hear from is the feature event. Carl Michael Iglesias hails from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Definitely a Badger. Met him, fortunately, as also my brother in the First Wave program, and just truly a really well-rounded artist. I met Carl as a poet and truthfully like an athlete, and he was become, MC, vocalist, model, really serious actor, and now published writer with Catch a Glow. So please put your hands together, stomp your feet, rub your belly, give it up for Carl Michael Iglesias, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. I got to say a couple words to the artist before we got to spit, but everybody on stage with me, I asked to be on stage in this digital format because I admire all of y'all work, and I love being around people I admire. And it sure makes for a better feature a little bit, even if whoever does come, it still feels like I'm on top of the world with y'all here, and that means a lot to me. So I appreciate y'all. We're going to talk a little bit after I read some poems about cities. I'm going to welcome Sydney back, and we'll have some conversations about the book and the process and stuff. And I'll try not to be too much talking and read more poems. But I started writing this book in the midst of after Hurricane Maria. It was also like the end of Trump's first year in office. If you can remember where we were then, it was just like apocalyptic, to use one word. And it felt like very blatant disrespect, and the world was beginning to turn into a world that we would eventually kind of be in combat with, or at least revealed to be in combat with just this past year. And so in a sense of frustration, I was just thinking, what could I do? And I had it written. It didn't even start as a book. It just started as a collection of poems, and it just didn't stop. So I dug around in a lot of different places for a lot of different stories, and I'm going to share those with you today. And I'll hop around. This poem I don't share often, but I think today's a good day to read poems that I don't share often. This poem in particular says a lot about my book, because it includes a little bit of journalism and a little bit of the spirituality, to tell kind of the truth that's been happening. Baya Manako is God of Fire and Tobacco, but God of Fire as well. This piece is called Baya Manako at the Crematorium. And it starts with it starts with a quote that says, 3,000 people did not die in the 2 hurricanes that hit Puerto Rico. And that's Donald Trump. I was asked not to count the names etched in ash. It is uncertain which dried mounds have drowned or which dry mouths have burned. So we did not count the dead. After Huracan roared, Department of Public Safety reported deaths have been engulfing in stars, old man fire, algid hallways lit by Taino torch. Most of this place is a melting candle, powerless. Night is a blanket of sweat, fatigue. I have seen these solemn ashes spread across campos and the crystal shallows of Culebra. I gather them now, 8 names deserving of echoes. A lit furnace, oven of russet hearts, asthma, dehydration, all glowing in a halo of rainwater. Thin bones speak firewood, cracking, quick retort of desiccated branches hacked from where they burgeon. After the sky of Aguada rushed children into the surf, and the sea deluged to meet the storm, over bodies have been cremated. And to think, I thought that there would be nothing left to burn. Thank you. I'll keep going. Telling more of the story as hopping around. Some days it'll be a little bit from different characters. Some moments it'll be from different characters' perspective, and some will stay in the narrative. This next piece is it's about Hurricane Maria, but also I snuck a lot of myself into this book as well. And this is actually a little bit of a reflection of my early protest days when I was a teenager. It's called Half of the Parrots Disappeared. And it's also from a piece of journalism that was talking about how whole entire species were almost eradicated from the island because of the hurricane. And I just thought that was kind of sad, but it reminded me of other things as well. Half of the parrots disappeared. Near the south end of the viaduct, the tropical forest, I stand with the pummeled mountain of 24 kids from the neighborhood. A couple of turquoise-tipped wings, sunshine from crashing, passion fruit without canopy. I want laws that shake hands. I am of the shaken, the ones who recover through gardening, camouflage, a fledgling coalition of churches headquartered at the end. I go in more resistant to hurricanes, and I only face hurricanes. Topple the nest After I break through the shell, my vital recovery for the species, we handful the dirt. Get another flock reintroduced wild. I boycotted grapes up when the march cut through 6th Street. Now return with this Southside English because you can't turn the D's, those, and that off or not want to send all the money you make back to your family. Thank you. One of the cornerstones I think of my book where which really tells you kind of like the way I wrote this book is a piece that I'm about to read now called Battered New. And Battered New is a poem that I made completely of headlines. Although that seems fairly simple, it's very much not, especially if you want the poem to actually read well. So a lot of these poems are, a lot of every word in this poem is derived from a headline, but just not in the same word. It's called Battered New. Maria pleads 6 months for help, looking after Maria. Transplanted struggled to put down roots in Central, we are forgotten people. It's been almost 6 months since Maria lures spring to fund comeback. Break Maria some good news. Maria still pleading for help. 6 months made Maria victim, citizens, yet not. American more, isolated Maria. Won't leave for mainland, note onboarding, Maria lingers into a disaster. Like an afterthought, Maria hits demands history, division of sending, award Maria. Help in aims, inspire bow and arrow, attract counsel. Power slowly, Maria is better to roots. Water return, 300 dogs following Maria, rescued from celebration exodus. Maria nearly grows as island struggles to rebound from Maria. Can't keep lights on, blows out first sea to ever settle Maria. Why maker? Does restoring full power seem like a never-ending task? Skipped White House still needs Maria to visit aid, relief for Maria. Unions clash over proposed players. Maria never before madness, after insane. Seated upset. We just believed in each other. In shock, why shocking? Maria is better. Will stand alone as gold. Stunning recipe for Maria. Will change what is in Maria. We are real for one. Still dying. Staying Maria, victory validation effect, benefit from a historic upset, art museums review Maria, face recovery, locker after, close Maria, moves upset, post-storm chaos, face future uncertain, welcome seed upset, club faces defeat, react, upset, reunited, Maria flees. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I always tell people, I'm like, yo, I promise every one of my books are not gonna be so, well, they might be. I love playing with language, and so a lot of this book is a little sometimes fragmented. And that's very much on purpose to a lot of what I was feeling and the missing parts of a lot of these narratives. I would like to read this poem called Ofrenda. And it's about a town in Puerto Rico from a newspaper story that I got. Joselito has a generator that his son sent him from Florida. He has been using it to power the floodlight down the road every evening since Dia de los Reyes, offering our barrio a makeshift lamppost, Galle's North Star. I take a little shine from our neo moon to inspect how my calloused fingers translate chords. My hamaca offers the usual waltz. I offer pitorro de quenepa to Evelyn and her husband next door, but they never accept. She offers una tacita tibia, and how could I say no? I offer my cuatro, cup of humming sugar. My quickened bones croon a bolero out. The night is warm brick of chocolate surrendering to simmered milk, sweet blood. I offer tune to relentless mosquitoes baiting the bats. They offer salsa, offer clashing shadows and their best smile. Swift wings, a striking turn of page. I can barely read the notes off my crinkled hymnal, but if I angle it just right, I can catch a glow over my shoulder, and I play on. Coquis whistle by the thousands, offer to fill the air with a call and response, a coro pregón of burning candles on porches, listening constantly. Joselito Keynes, his son, is not coming back, but should hear from him soon. Thank you. Thank you so much. My little book. I want to share maybe one more poem from the book, and then I'd love to end on a new poem with the hope of some future and another book, hopefully. Right. This last poem from the book is called Eulogy for a Mango Tree, and it wraps up my book. And it comes from a story in which a journalist was saying what he would miss most about his ruined home in Puerto Rico. And he said he would miss his mango tree because it knew all of his secrets. So I ran with that. Eulogy for a Mango Tree. I'm still the boy in the navy shorts running around you with my shirt wrapped around my head, lifting a fallen branch, now a leafed sword. You whisper a breeze I can barely hear, and I nod as if I understand. Did you think less of me when home was a spiraled gust and I returned to the thunder of my birth, fist rushing into wall, hiding violently? Some secrets sound like boiling salt water, don't they? Carved my name into you with a parrot's claw. You were there. I fell asleep outside my door on Culver Road. Did you whisper our stories to the horses in summer? On the darkest nights, when I stumble home a puddle of myself, why didn't you just drink me? God lift you, wake me up with sweet prayers as if to not embarrass me. Who else do you offer refuge in your shadows? What other faces have you saved? You understood that the stars don't need to see everything. So when the sky arrived, masked as a bursting mango, I'd share a cafecito with you. Scoff in your bark. You'd admit you thought you'd never see the day I'd like my coffee without cream. It's my secret to everlasting life. What's yours? Tell me. Tell me. Thank you. Poems from Catch a Glow. I just want to end, y'all. I just want to share a brand new poem. I haven't shared this with anybody but my students so far. I'm also a teaching artist outside, saving the world one day at a time. It's a brand new poem, and I'm hoping my next piece of work will dive into my childhood a lot more, in particular, the 7-block radius of the Southside neighborhood that I stomped in. That felt so big at that time, and I really want to dive into that. But this is my last poem. It is brand new. Thank you all for rocking with us. Afterwards, I'm going to bring Sydney back on stage. We're just going to do a quick talk back. I'm going to let everybody have a great night, but I just wanted to say thank you once again before I get going. This poem is called I Was Picked Up from School on a Harley Once. Unchecked by the front desk, I point to the man on top of all that boisterous. A wine-colored Sportster bubbling through the window. I know how close you can get to an explosion. I need an explanation for how I fit into the helmet. I have a screaming eagle who looks like me. I squeeze him over Thunderglide. Vibrations rock me away. We take off and I can barely hold on. I know you see me, Nina. You better double that Dutch. Berto saw me too. He punched me earlier that day in the back so hard my lung popped. I'm still catching my breath. He carries me with him always as the most alive he's ever been. So I want him to see me too, ascending on this floating island, a skipping rock across block. Does anybody else see us possessed? For the first time, admire the burning steel. Is that love behind the noise? When will I get my scent of leather I will always remember this as the closest we've ever been to dying together. Let it out. Big Pop's caught in the exhaust, an explosion passed on. We are a war reenactment, an independence parade coming down historic Mitchell Street. We are what's left, the gust of confetti. What if the pieces of ourselves were just pieces of each other? How many possibilities have we exhausted? How old until I'm exhausted? No doubt, vibrations roll through me as 100 sneakers release the asphalt recess, free shook. A bandana is a flag over here, rolling in black paisley, eastbound, passing 9th Street, the corner of my eye spot, Sam's liquor store, hopeful. I shut my eyes so tight I can see the 6-pack of genuine draft, putting all his love into clutching the scalp of his grape blow pop. Hear him say, "This is my boy." Thank you. Appreciate everyone for sharing this space with me. I'm gonna bring back my friend Sydney.
Amazingness.
Thank you.
What just occurred? Like, yo, all the folks out there in the universe, let's one final time give it up for group think, for Zalarina, for Nate Marshall, and of course, Carly Iglesias. I mean, that was surely a treat for me. And I hope everyone out there has been enjoying it. Truly, truly a perfect night to celebrate all of y'all. And of course, to come together as some of the folks that Carl chose to celebrate Catch a Glow. Please cop this book, cop the artist's work who are on this performance tonight if you haven't. But I do, of course, want to make some space for folks who might have some questions for Carl. I have questions that I'd love for you to just kind of talk through maybe about the book and your process. And I love finding out whenever someone creates anything, from a photo shoot to a book and everything in between. What would you say if you had to choose? Not even maybe your favorite poem as it came out to be like a finished product, but maybe there was a poem where you kind of had your favorite process.
Yeah, I would say, I like, speaking of Battered New, which is one of the poems I just read. That one for me was one of the first poems that after I made it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, I know what the story I'm trying to tell is now. And the story that I was trying to tell is that Puerto Ricans on the mainland were so disconnected in this time that we were all of a sudden very connected. We had Facebook and internet and all this stuff, but to be so disconnected jarringly, a lot of us leaned on the news, for everything. Like, we didn't know if our cousins was at the airport, we didn't know who was where, we didn't know what was what. And so we just was hoping in the news that we would hear a neighborhood and they would report about the neighborhood so we would know if our peoples was straight. And so so a lot of this poem has that kind of energy where it takes literal lines from journalism and kind of use that real like concrete reportive style to tell this story. So taking that, literally going in and copying and pasting mad articles. And some of them were from Hurricane Maria. That's why Maria as a name appears a lot within that narrative. But also, like, it was March. So like there was March Madness, like articles and stuff like that. So like there's other kind of vocabulary that I was able to kind of like repurpose for my narrative, but also was able to kind of keep, Hurricane Maria at the forefront. But there's like, in here, there's like some bars in here that's like about like buzzer beater kind of like language that is like totally repurposed. But when I like pointed out, would be like, oh yeah, I could see how that would be like from March Madness. But yeah, I try to just be, honest too. So even though this is about obviously a particular moment in Puerto Rico, the things that I love find their way into this. So like in the beginning, there's a quote by Jay-Z and Wayne on there, and like I use some repurposed language from a couple other musicians in the piece too. Most of that is just because I'm a big music head and I love music. So usually that's what inspires me to write poems way more than maybe other poets, But still, I love other poets, especially my friends more more than anything. But yeah, that's that one.
Word. And I guess knowing a little bit about how it did start off as just a couple poems that are loosely about the same thing, and then they became, a few more poems that are absolutely about the same thing. When did it dawn on you that this is a book? This has to be a book, and this is me that has to write this.
I think it was more so that I wrote like some poems, and then I wanted a book, and so I was like, well, where do I start with that process, And being that, like, I think my favorite books that I've read are very conceptualized and very specific. I almost don't want to say this, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but I'm not necessarily so attracted to, like, this is my whole life books of poetry, or these are, I'm just not like, I'm in I'm cut from the cloth that that the more specific a story, the better. And so I kind of hold poets to that regard too. So I feel like if the book of poetry is not very specific, then it's like, where do I latch onto other than, you being dope, And so sometimes when I can see a theme and a poet playing with a theme from like different angles, from the left to the right, from this one, from the point of view, from other people's point of view, I'm like, I'm in this world. And that's why I want to go to the next poem, because I'm in the world and I'm hearing from somebody else. And I'm hearing, like one of my favorite poets, Willie Perdomo, I think is so good at that. And he'll introduce characters and they'll have a voice, and they'll have a poem, you know what I mean? And they'll come back and they'll have more shit to say. And I just think that that's, blurring the lines of theater and a book of poetry. And I think that that's awesome. You know what I mean? I think there's something there, and that excites me for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I guess on that theme, what would you say is one of the ones that's the hardest to write? And I'll say one of my favorite poems in here, you didn't share tonight, so shameless plug to those who have not yet got the book. You don't know nothing about this yet. Is when someone asked if my family in Puerto Rico has electricity. And I found myself reading it over and over again. It's a shorter piece, but I remember back then, folks just like being, helplessly in the dark about what was going on in such a terrifying way, not knowing when, what, and not even having access to be able to check on anybody. And then the way, the unfortunate beauty of it was the way that folks in that desperation and in that pain and tragedy had to communicate. I was hearing like, yo, I had a phone, so I told so-and-so about their cousin, had heard from their auntie, so just know that so-and-so is at the church and they cousin is okay. Like, when people, and of course, Black people and, African people, Latino people have had to get creative in the eyes of anti-Blackness for a really long time. So that's nothing new to us. We know how to pass the message and tell, get the message to my mama that I'm straight. And so that's just one of my favorites. So for you, is there one that it was the hardest to write or it's the hardest to read?
Yeah. Not to piggyback off of you, but for sure that one. And I'll tell you why, but I'll try to give you another one to see if, just so that I don't feel like I'm piggybacking off of you. But for sure that one, because Nate brought up this idea of like communicating like the real and like not, necessarily pandering and stuff like that, even to our own folks and stuff. And that was like this poem that came out of me to be like, to kind of have this sense of confession. Like, I feel like naturally when people be like, oh, you good? You good? I'm like, when people be like, yeah, I'm good. No matter what, you know what I mean? Because like, it's like it's a state of mind, it's a theory, you know what I mean? Like, I am good, if one would say, you know what I mean? Not necessarily how I'm actually feeling in the moment.
Right.
Also, they would, that would come up with the hurricane because, that was kind of like, everybody you knew was Puerto Rican was probably dealing with that. So it's like, yo, you good? Your family good? And I found myself lying multiple times, being like, yeah. And I didn't know. But I didn't want to say that I didn't know, because then there's this weird thing where like, why aren't you finding out? Or why do you have a glimpse of joy in you, you know, when your family is not contacted. Like all those kind of small thoughts, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm a piece of shit. Like, why am I like avoiding this, right? Like, where is everyone? What's going on? So the poem kind of arrived as like this kind of anti all the other poems, where I was like, oh, and by the way, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that needs to be clear that, you know, like this poem is about like me assuming what's happening, me creating stories about what is happening, and they're all based in some sort of truth, but they're not the truth. They're my version of the truth. And that's all that most of us had during this hurricane, right? And during that time, you know? Yeah, that's some of the realization that I'm fucking around and having right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, as you speak to me, this like thing, but like, that's real. Like, it was, in particular, I think that's why it is one, I always thought it was maybe because it was short, but I think that's the reason maybe why I avoid it. It's so real. Sometimes it's like, you know, it brings you back to like the too real, like, yo, this is a sad book, you know? But still it's lovely though, you know, and it looks nice.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Just a couple more for folks out there who I know you probably have a couple burning questions too. So I tried to think, what do folks want to know about Catch a Glow and Carl? I think a lot of folks would want to know who it's all for. Like if you had to make sure this book gets in one person's hand, at least this one person, who's it for?
That's a great question.
Obviously not literally one person. If you gotta be classroom,
yeah,
you know.
But I think in like to answer that directly and indirectly, it's like obviously I dedicated this first book, as most people maybe would, to their mama. Because my mama's the reason I'm Puerto Rican. And I don't know any shit about being Puerto Rican, right? I was born in Milwaukee, so like my mom really made it a thing to pull me by the ear and take me to places and show me this love and to bring me to the island, so that I would know. And I think that's very important. But I think because I think the first inclination is like, oh, this is for all my Boricuas, but it's really for it's for all of us on the mainland who are also disconnected, right? The Puerto Ricans will feel like, damn, like I relate to that. Like I know I was there, I remember that. And for a lot of folks who have a generation, maybe they're a degree of separation from a Puerto Rican, they may be like, oh yeah, no, word to the homie, like I know that they were going through that. And if they didn't, it's for them too. Like it's for the other part of America that was like, oh yeah, a hurricane happened in Puerto Rico, it's cool. Like it's straight, they'll be straight, you know? All of them, maybe mostly for them, you know what I mean? To be like, yo, it ain't straight, you know? And I'm not straight, you know? Like I'm not good, you know what I mean? I'm not handling this well. I don't know what the hell is going on. And if it seems like my thoughts are deep, fragmented, and, you know, just a click and the copy and paste of news streams on my feed and shit like that, that's kind of what it is, you know? And if you feel like it's a little difficult to digest, that's kind of it too, you know? That's another thing I wanted to kind of share a little bit more of my narratives outside of the book, just to kind of show how the book is maybe leaning into a certain a little style of creation that I really wanted to conceptualize for this. But it's so that hopefully so that we hope in the main thing, like my cousins, my family, folks who was there, just has this idea of like, that was important to us. And I think Puerto Ricans in particular as a nation, as a people, have had a lot of important things happen to us, but we don't have there's a lack of our own identity that allows us to really have that folklore, have that, right? It's constantly being, since the beginning of the colonialism has been being pressed down and our identity pressed down, like, no. And most of the biggest parts of us have became when Puerto Ricans left Puerto Rico, whether it's poetry or whether it's salsa, whether it's, you know what I'm saying? Like all these like larger forms that are kind of concocting in New York and all these other Chicago and all these other places, you know? But the irony is that with a little bit of what is American freedom, we're able to tell a little bit of this story. But that American freedom is actually what's fucked us in the first place. Excuse me, Bowery, I'm over here like, it's 8:10. It's 8:10, it's deep, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, I got a lot to be mad about, you know? But
Word.
yeah. But yeah, it's all in the state of love, you know. Hidden in here are my cousins, my grandma, my mom, my friends. And even just to the side, we're running out of time, I just want to shout out, Sydney's name is in this book too, because Sydney did, and has always been my, one of my best friends, but also like my most trusted editor. You know, Sydney is the person who is gonna edit my poems, even though it might say like edited by somebody else in here. The publishing world don't work like that, right? They just moving the words around and shit and making sure it's in the center of the page. But who is touching my poetry is this woman right here, and I'm super grateful for even the Google Doc feedback. You know what I'm saying? All of that is beautiful. And I always love to share that because there's a lot of first waivers who are undergrads, and I always tell them like, yo, be nice to that person because they may edit your poems for life. You know what I'm saying? Like for life. You know, they may be your road dog for life. They may come to your shows for life. You know, and so Sydney, I just want to thank you for being my road dog and my friend for life. It's just been lovely. And thank you for
Thank you.
Yeah.
Again, thank you all the performers tonight. Thank you, Carl, for having us. Thank you, Bowery, Mahogany Brown, and all those folks. Amazing job to the performers. I think in this last moment with the people, Carl, what is next for Catch a Glow and Carl Iglesias?
Damn, that's a good question because I just turned a little a leaf right here this month. But what is next is I'm working on the next collection of poems. It's very Milwaukee South Side, just a very much that part of my personality and my narrative. So it'll be taking a little step back in time and following a 15-year-old Puerto Rican knucklehead on the South Side and all the stupid stuff that probably I did that I shouldn't have done. And just also learning who I was as a young man along the way, but also learning who I wasn't as a young man along the way, which was awesome. So that's coming up next for me, and I will. Yeah, I'm writing poems. If anybody's out there who's working on poems or theater and verse, that's what I do. And I just recently got to premiere work with a poet named Kiara Armani, in which I directed their whole piece. So. If any poets out there are interested in taking their poems and making them into other things, I'm that dude. So just come to me and we'll figure it out. We'll make some theater. We'll make some visuals. We'll tell some stories. That's awesome. It. Thank you, Sydney, and thank you to everyone else for sure. Arena, Nate Marshall, Group Think. Thank you so much, Mahogany Brown, Bowery Poetry. It's been lovely. Thank you so much. Okay, you should be clear. Mahogany, if you're still there, let me know if I've stopped everything like I'm supposed to. Mo, you